Yo, what's up? This is Elder and welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today on the channel, we're gonna go over all 5 horror movies coming out in the month of May that has the internet buzzing. Yeah, we all know that the long-awaited Final Destination Part 6 is coming out this month, but there's 4 other movies that I hope don't get lost in the mix here. Month of May is going to be stacked for us horror movie nerds, and we're going over everything from major blockbusters here to lesser-known indie movies from Britain. We're even gonna talk about one that I almost completely missed out on. I haven't really heard too much about this movie, but it's a terrifying film coming out of A24. Let me not get ahead of myself though. We're gonna go over all these movies in the order that they're gonna be hitting us in theaters, so let's jump into it. Starting the list off with a fun one, on May 9th, we've got Clown in a Cornfield. Clown in a Cornfield is an American slasher film written and directed by Tucker and Dale vs. Evil's writer and director Eli Craig, with Carter Blanchard co-writing the script and Shudder putting up the money for the production. The film is based on the 2020 Bram Stoker Best Young Adult novel winning 3-part novel series originally written by Adam Caesar. The film's premise reads that looking for a fresh start, Quinn and her father move to the quiet town of Kettle Springs. They soon learn that the fractured community has fallen on hard times after losing a treasured factory to a fire. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister, grinning clown emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. On March 24th, we received a trailer for this thing and it looked fantastic. We see a group of kids pulling pranks and having fun with the local legend of Friendo the Clown. These images of goofs and gaffs are quickly splattered over with scenes of fun kills and a sinister looking killer clown. The synopsis for the novel that this film will be based on gives us a lot more insight on what we could be getting here. The book centers upon Quinn Maybrook, a teenage girl who is a senior in high school and has recently moved to the small factory town of Kettle Springs, Missouri from Philadelphia after the tragic death of her mother, Samantha. Her father, Glenn, has been hired as the new town physician in the closing of the Bay Pen corn syrup factory and its subsequent burning due to arson by a local boy named Cole Hill. As a result, the town is at odds with itself and strict lines are drawn between the largely conservative adults and the teens who are more interested in just having fun and getting views on their YouTube channel. Quinn manages to befriend Cole and his group of friends, including Queen Bee Janet, the ponytail-wearing Ronnie, her boyfriend Matt, and loner Tucker, after an incident during her first day in class. Their science teacher, Mr. Vern, sends them all to a study hall and they get talking about their group and the town's eerie history. During the study hall, Quinn is invited to attend the town's annual Founders Day celebration, despite Mr. Vern banning them from this event. She's also invited to the subsequent party being planned by Janet that's taking place in the nearby cornfield. Here, however, things take a turn for the worse when the town's mascot, Friendo the Clown, begins to kill the town's wayward youth one by one. Plans to adapt Clown in a Cornfield were announced in 2020, prior to the novel's August release, and Clown in a Cornfield first premiered at a 2025 South by Southwest TV and Film Festival back on March 10th of this year. At the festival, the reception was amazing, with 92% of the 38 critics' reviews posted to Rotten Tomatoes being positive. The website's consensus reads, "Clown in a Cornfield didn't reinvent the corn maze, but its clever insights, subversions of expectations, and solid foundation slashes its way to the top." Clown in a Cornfield looks really good to me. I don't know if you're familiar with Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, but that movie is hilarious. I don't know if this one's going to be walking that same path that that one did with horror comedy, but fingers crossed, because people are saying that this one subverted expectations, and that really would, based on the trailers that we've gotten so far. I could see this movie being gruesome, I could see it being vicious, but I could also see it possibly being hilarious if played the right way. Either way they decide to swing with it, I'm excited to see what they give us here. When I first heard the title for this film, I thought that it was going to be some kind of throwaway tag, similar to like Sharknado or something like that, but seems like this one's a little bit more of an actual movie than films of those kinds of genres. Clown in a Cornfield could be really good. This could be one that we're talking about for a long time. Do I think that Friendo here is going to meet the standards of Art the Clown? Probably not. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that gruesome, but hopefully it can find its own niche and stand out in its own way. I'm excited for Clown in a Cornfield. We've got 2 films coming out on May 16th, but we're going to be starting off first with Final Destination Bloodlines. Final Destination Bloodlines is the 6th film in the legendary horror franchise, and it's one that we've been following closely on the channel. There are a lot of cooks involved in this project, and it is being directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, with writing by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor. The script is based on a story originally developed by them and John Watts together. We've received a ton of information on this film so far, but most of what it tells us is to expect the unexpected. There's been 3 trailers, multiple featurettes, and there's even a whole clip clip of Bloodworth telling us outright that the rules have been changed here. Scrapping those rules set in Final Destination 2, this film will focus on the Campbell-Lewis families through the lenses of the grandmother Iris Campbell and our main character Stephanie Lewis. In her past, Iris had a premonition of a collapsing tower that would save her life. Now, some years later, Stephanie starts having some similar visions as death stalks after their family to clean up its mess. Conveying themes of generational trauma, both the grandmother and granddaughter will be experiencing premonitions in this attempt to breathe some fresh air into the long-established series. We've received 3 trailers and a lot of info on what we could be getting with this movie, but with all the misdirection in those trailers and the innate fake-out death nature of this series, there's truly no telling what exactly we're in for here. The one thing that we do know is that this will be legend of the horror genre Tony Todd's last time as William Bloodworth, as well as his last time on screen, period. I hope this film is the perfect send-off for a true horror Hall of Famer. I've made multiple videos on the updates for this movie over the past few months, so if you want the full rundown, be sure to check those out. But just to summarize a few things, I'll state that the movie was locked in production hell going all the way back to 2019. The script has been written, edited, rewritten, and re-edited multiple times, but by passion for the project, it's managed to survive all the way here, and we're finally getting our part 6 to the Final Destination franchise. My only question is if that passion was for the fans or for the bills. The first teaser trailer release for the movie showed us what appeared to be a full scene and death from the film, but eagle-eyed viewers have pointed out that the newest trailer kinda spoils that, and the previous one couldn't have featured the true death of that character, but that he's seen later on with evidence that he survived that brush with death. What does that mean? We don't know, but we certainly do know what Final Destination brings to the table, and we're all very excited for this one later this month. Well, what more could be said about Final Destination Part 6 that I haven't already? I know it's annoying to hear, but check back on my channel and find my other videos on Final Destination Part 6. I've made a lot of content about this film. It looks like it's going to be a great time, especially if you're a Final Destination diehard. But with its release date right around the corner, there's not too much room for speculation left, is there? We're just going to have to see how this thing plays out. Also on May 16th, we've got this really interesting movie coming out called The Severed Son. The Severed Son is a British horror film that first screened at the Fantastic Fest in Texas on September 22nd of 2024. The film is loosely based on director Dean Puckett's 2018 short, The Sermon. And the plot synopsis states that a young woman named Magpie lives in an isolated church community ruled over by her father, the local pastor. When a man in town is viciously murdered, paranoia sets in and the people start to whisper about a strange beast that lives deep within the forest. As fear spreads through their isolated religious community, the mysterious beast stalks with shimmering white eyes and embarks on a bloody rampage. This film is the lowest budget movie on this list, but it looks really interesting, and it's received some great praise from the people who have seen it so far. Its visual style and creature design look really cool. I hope that the acting and editing here can hold it up to make it a treat for those who are interested in something a little bit more lowbrow. The Severed Son looks good. I'm sure that this is going to be one of the lesser known titles on this list and one of the lesser seen ones as well, but I'm pretty interested in this. There's room for it to be schlocky or amateur leaning, but there's a lot of interesting things to be explored here. The cinematography style alone definitely intrigues me a little bit. People on independent film forums have been talking about this one a good little bit, and I think it'll be cool to see. We'll definitely have to keep our eye on this one. Maybe I'll get a video on the channel later on. On May 23rd, Netflix is adding to their beloved Fear Street series with Fear Street Prom Queen. Fear Street Prom Queen is an upcoming American slasher film, and it is one that I know we have all been very excited for. Platformed on and paid for by Netflix, the movie is based on a novel titled The Prom Queen, originally released in 1992 from the Fear Street book series by R.L. Stine. This is the 4th installment in the Fear Street film lineage, starting fresh with a new cast. The students at Shadyside High are preparing for the 1988 prom. The It Girls are fighting to get support to be voted prom queen. As an unusual nominee emerges in the race, some of the other candidates begin to vanish one by one without a trace. This installment into the franchise promises us a classic 80s slasher vibe, where in established Fear Street fashion, we can be sure to find many twists, turns, and enough great storytelling to have us all surprised that this was originally based on a children's book. Alright, Fear Street Prom Night. This is one that people have been talking about for literally years at this point, similar similar to Final Destination. Big things coming in May for horror fans, that's absolutely for sure. Now, last time Fear Street dropped on us, they put out one movie and then swiftly dropped two more right after it, like back to back to back. It was crazy. And none of us really knew that that was going to be the plan for that, so what are the odds that they do that again here? I've seen some information from R.L. Stine that may support or contradict that evidence. Let's look into it together and see what you think. In July of 2022, R.L. Stine stated that discussions were being had for additional films to be developed beyond the first three films due to the initial success of the Fear Street trilogy. In December of that year, it was also reported that the series had gotten the green light and entered the production stages. Back in October of 2023, R.L. Stine himself stated that the films would be continuing with additional Fear Street installments already in development. This was later confirmed when they revealed that the next installment would be a standalone film from R.L. Stine's Fear Street book series. In January of last year, Stine confirmed that the project had been in the works and that it was adapting his story, The Prom Queen, specifically from the series. In March of this year, the film was titled Fear Street Prom Queen and set for its release. So with what was said here, I think it's about a 50-50 toss-up, honestly. They're going to be dropping Prom Queen first, that goes without saying, and they're not going to be dropping anything like with it at launch, but maybe within a couple of weeks, maybe within a couple of months, we could be getting other things that attribute to these characters or flesh out that storyline. We'll have to wait and see. This could be a very pleasant surprise, and definitely don't want to get your hopes up too much, because we have no reason to suspect that besides pattern of behavior at this point. It would be cool though. Would be really cool though, I'm really interested to see it. The three that they put out last time were so different from each other, there was so much variety, and there's really no telling where this one could go from here. This first one could be about prom queens or whatever, and then the next one could be about a sci-fi horror fantasy. I don't know, I mean, like, really, they jump around in timelines and all kinds of stuff. They could do whatever they want here. If you're an R.L. Stine head, be sure to comment below and let me know what you think. If you've actually read these books and you know about the realms of possibility here, let me know what you think may be following this one up. Last but most certainly not least on our list, on May 30th, we're getting Bring Her Back from A24. Bring Her Back is an upcoming Australian horror film coming out of A24, and this thing truly looks horrifying. Tapping into some terrifying demonic possession, the movie is being directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. Following the success of their last film, Talk to Me, the two have struck a deal with A24 and Sony to bring their next twisted vision to life. In Bring Her Back, a brother and sister witness a wickedly terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. The trailer we received for this thing gives me the impression that they're going for a more horrifying version of Hereditary, if you can even imagine such a thing. It's explained through gruesome imagery and demented VHS shots that the goal here is to harbor the soul of a woman into a child's body, while the foster mother performs a ritual to quote-unquote bring her back. Who is she? What's going on here? Will this be as scary as it looks? I'm excited to find out when this thing drops at the end of this month. Man, Bring Her Back looks really cool. This movie looks terrifying for real. I know I've gassed it up enough. I mean, maybe it's just personal preference, but this thing looks really scary to me. And coming from A24 too, they've had a good track record when it comes with that. Sometimes their stuff can be hit or miss, I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely not one of those A24 purists, but when they hit, oh man, do they hit. And this one looks like it's gonna be interesting. It is pretty interesting, the parallels that we're seeing just from the trailer here between this and like the storyline of Hereditary, but again, I'm saying this all video, who knows where this thing is going. There could be all kinds of twists and turns. I mean, it is horror after all, isn't it? And when you branch off into possession, it just really goes haywire. I mean, those movies can be twisted. But that does it for 5 horror movies coming out in the month of May that everybody's been buzzing about so far. Comment below and let me know which of these films that you are most excited for. Comment below and let me know any fan theories that you have about any of these films. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. I'm going to be covering all these films and more on my channel as the month progresses, so if you enjoyed the content today, be sure to stick around. Check out my channel and browse my catalog. You may find some other content you enjoy as well. And if you do, be sure to send it over to a friend you think might enjoy it too. As always, I've been Eldritch Terror, and whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.